Hey, what's up? GW coming to you live. Hey, real quick, I just watched a video. It's called VHS Beyond, and it is probably by far one of the best VHS entries I've ever seen. And, well, trying to keep it quiet. My wife's sleeping. But if you guys haven't seen this, it's pretty cool. It's deals with alien abduction and alien encounters, and it's very bloody, very gory, and it's free if you have Shutter or AMC Plus, depending. So we're gonna get into it, and like I said, this is probably one of my favorite entries into the VHS franchise. So we start out with a wraparound story called Abduction. Basically, it's your documentary style, uh, sort of entertainment or documentary style story about alien abductions, and it runs the length of the whole movie. It's intercut with the segments on here. The first actual segment is called Stork, and this one starts you off with a bang. It it's about a how should I even describe this? It's about a group of police officers who target a house. You don't even know why, you just know they're gearing up for a raid. What ensues is a sequence out of Doom or Wolfenstein, one of those first person shooters, and it's actually shown. These are all the stories are shown in first person POV. They they actually raid this house, and it is one of the bloodiest, goriest 20 minutes you'll ever see. And it even, like I said, I just referenced Doom, it even has a chainsaw segment where you get to see the first person view of chainsaw melees. What you get into in this story is a bunch of zombies running around with no brains. It's pretty cool. Very graphic, very bloody. I couldn't even begin to count the carnage in here because it's just over the top. Like I said, it starts you off with a bang. They eventually make their way into the attic and they find an alien stork creature that is taking care of mutated babies, and they have to deal with it. And it's a very solid entry. And like I said, there was so much blood and gore and carnage, I actually lost count in this film. Now, the second story is called Dream Girl, and it is set over in India, and it deals with a sort of Beyonce type mega superstar who is, queen of the pop world over there. To, I guess you would say, fans or paparazzi decide to get a closer look at her backstage, goings on, figure out she's not what she seems. She's actually, this is an exception to the alien abduction story. Most of the stories in here are about aliens. There are a couple that aren't. She's not what she seems, and to me, she seemed like one of those Egyptian people because she makes reference of a slave. The way she dresses is like a Hindu goddess, but she ends up turning into a sort of monster, if you will, and going on a kill crazy rampage and basically wiping out the entire back lot of this production. Again, the gore count was very high. I mean, at this point in the movie, you've already seen face rips, stabs, gunshots, chainsaw melees, crushed heads. I mean, you name it. Shudder and Bloody Disgusting have already thrown that in there. So at this point, you're just counting carnage. Arms ripped off. I mean, it's crazy. Electrocutions. Very cool. The first two stories, like I said, Dream Girl and Stork, are very, very solid entries in the VHS franchise, and I suggest anyone check those out because they're not to be dismissed. I mean, they're creative, they're entertaining, they're bloody, they're gory, and they're very short. They don't overstay their welcome. Now, the next story is called Live and Let Dive. This one to me was probably one of the most creative and my personal favorite of this movie. It deals with a group of kids who, or a group of people who are celebrating somebody's birthday, and they all decide to go skydiving. And in the middle of the skydiving, or right before they go to jump, rather, they spot a UFO outside one of these little plane windows. One thing leads to another. The Army gets involved. You see a F-15 fighter pilot fly by, shoot some missiles at this thing, and eventually their little skydiving plane breaks into a couple of pieces and the people plummet to the bottom, or the surface of the earth. They land in what looks like a orange field. And again, this is a pretty grisly take. A lot of stabbings, a lot of mutilating. We get to see a head ripped off by a parachute. Very cool. Blood squirts everywhere. A guy gets impaled with a propeller. But when the main character comes to, they are being stalked in this orange field by this sort of alien type creature that has, skewers in his hands and can obliterate your head and rip your face off, rip the skin of your face off. As they try to escape, ultimately they are picked off one at a time till only the survivor stays alive. When he gets out of the orange field, he gets into a truck and then is abducted into the alien ship. It's one of my favorites because the way it's shot, the creativity that went into it, and also the gore. There's a lot of gore in here. So at this point, you are already, have seen, again, a lot of maulings, a lot of carnage. This story, too, I think is cool because of the way it's set, and it just kind of happens. And this guy, he literally goes through hell this whole movie. He gets his fingers blown off on one hand. It is a very, very cool story, and the graphics for the CGI are very, very cool. I'm telling you right now. So Live and Let Die was one of my favorite entries into this movie. So the next actual story deviates from the alien abduction. It's called Fur Babies, and it is a weird sort of horror film or short horror story, but it's very creative in its origin. It deals with a doggy daycare center run by two people. A woman who on the outside appears to be, as nice as Mr. Rogers, but she has a lot of devious secrets. She actually wants to transform humans who come to snoop around into dogs. And it gets to be really, really, like, you don't know which direction the story is going to take until it goes. And it's one of those suburbia, where everything looks peaceful on the outside, but very devious on the inside. She actually ends up turning two of the victims into dogs, humanoid dogs. And again, it's one of the ones that deviates from the story, but definitely worth a check out. If it was in any other anthology, it probably would have fit and it would have been natural. But for this one, it stands out because, like I said, it deviates from the alien abduction. But definitely a very creepy little entry. So, Fur Babies, very cool story. And the last story in the anthology is called Stowaway. It's about a girl who I think is in Nevada, and she's looking for UFO phenomenon because wherever she's staying, there's been a hotspot of UFO activity. She ends up finding an alien sort of ship. And again, first person viewpoint. And it is a little creepy in the way it's presented. She ends up going into this sort of alien spaceship meteorite thing. And she gets stuck on there and ultimately ends up going into outer space, stuck on the ship. It is very, very creepy, and it reminds you of, like, what's the word I'm looking for? That, um, like Gravity with Sandra Bullock, where she's stuck and there's no way out, and she actually ends up turning into an alien. It's interesting. The special effects are pretty good, and it's mostly done in black and white because the main character who gets stowed away on this has her thermal light on the camera, and it's pretty good. Very, very cool story. Not the strongest in the whole anthology, but again, a very, very entertaining romp, if you will, and it doesn't go on for very long. The stories do not overstay their welcome. So yeah, definitely check out VHS Beyond. It is actually streaming free on Shudder and AMC Plus if you guys have that. If you guys really are interested, I would wait actually. I would check it out, but I'm also going to buy this on Blu-ray because like I said, the stories to me were more entertaining than some of the ones in the last couple entries. But VHS Beyond, a very, very cool entry, and I hope that they keep coming up with some really cool stuff. That's my take on it. It's GW. Catch you later.